Welcome to the Going Rogue with Wes Whitlock podcast. All right, so we have Nicole here, also known as Roze from the epic Call of Duty games out there. We had a great day today. She came in and we had a shoot. What else did we do? We ran around and we ate tacos and so welcome to Austin, Texas. I've known April for a little bit. I did some work with her in the past and just really liked her mindset, her work ethic, what she's about, and just being a badass all around. So welcome to Austin, Texas. And we're excited to have you.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate you bringing me out here. I love Texas. I've never been here. I've been to Dallas and San Antonio, first time to Austin, and it's pretty rad. So it's really cool to visit your shop here and having a great time.
Very cool. Yeah, so far so good. How were the tacos today?
Amazing.
Yeah, good. Give them a thumbs up.
2 thumbs up. I would give the shrimp taco a higher thumbs up than the brisket, but they're both bomb.
Yeah, I had the same. I had the brisket and the fried shrimp. Did you do the grilled?
Yes, I did the grilled one.
Okay, so yeah, both good. So Torchy's Tacos, it's kind of a staple taco place here in Texas. Anybody who's been through Texas probably knows Torchy's, right, Dom? Oh, yeah. So, yeah, we had a good time there. We had a fun shoot this morning and pulled out some guns, pulled out some knives, pulled out a bow and arrow. We had dogs. We had, what else do we have? Oh, we had an old car, the Toyota 74 Toyota Land Cruiser.
I was most excited to wear the headdress, not going to lie.
That's right. You rocked the headdress quite well there. Yes.
To live out my warrior princess dreams this morning.
And did damn fine at it too. So from here, okay. So I know you've done quite a bit in life. You've been a nurse working in ERs, especially throughout the pandemic and everything else that's going on. You're active in your career with the tactical world, the video games, the modeling. You've run some of your own businesses. So kind of all around, another person that I like to be around, people that are just doing cool stuff and just pushing forward, making things happen. Let's talk a little bit about how you got to where you are now and what kind of drove you in this direction. I know you mentioned a little bit that your father was also in law enforcement. I'd love to hear kind of, a little bit about your history.
So growing up, my dad was a police officer. He did so many things. He was like head of the SWAT team. He was in detectives. He was head of traffic, head of like all kinds of different divisions. He just did so many things. So I think I get my drive a lot from him, where I've done like 1,000 different things, because there's some people that don't know what they want to do in life, whereas like I want to do everything. And one life is so short. So I try to do as much as I possibly can. And it's funny because growing up, even though he was in law enforcement, we were not allowed to touch the guns, certainly couldn't shoot the guns. Like I didn't grow up with guns, contrary to what people would probably think based on my, imagery now. But I didn't even know how to use a gun, held a gun until my late 20s. So that's kind of an interesting story. Yeah. So I didn't grow up with them. That was kind of something new to me. But yeah, growing up, I think I got a lot of that from my dad, just that like work ethic and drive. My mom's a super hard worker too, but he was kind of the more like warrior mindset, if you want to say, because of just his law enforcement background, a lot of the stuff that he's done. So I guess maybe that's where I get it. And I went to school originally for criminal justice with an a minor in forensic psychology and another degree in psychology, because I wanted to go into the FBI originally. And then I changed my mind. And then I went back to school and I did nursing, and that's what I'm doing now. So kind of wide variety of education there. People always wonder like why I have this education and now doing nursing, but that's why. That's my plan, to go into some sort of federal law enforcement.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, and it, I think that's important, of the impact that fathers have on their children, especially their daughters. And I saw something recently how important it is that fathers and daughters spend time together later on in life. It just compounds into so many amazing things. So awesome! Your dad sounds like a cool guy, and probably that's where I noticed you're also very patriotic in a real way. I think there's a lot of patriots that came out of fucking nowhere on the internet for whatever reasons to get famous, whatever it may be. And I love patriots all the way, but I can kind of see the ones that are truly about it, and you're one of those. Like, so I think that probably spins off from your father as well, and kind of growing up with that type of mindset and now being in this industry and around these type of folks, like we talked about last night. It's very the 2A community, the patriotic community, and just these small businesses that are doing cool things are just full of a lot of really neat people, and a lot of neat businesses and opportunities that come along with that. So,
Yeah,
you
well,
know.
and two, I have a lot of international friends, and so I know how very rare a lot of our freedoms are in this country, such as the R2A, even our First Amendment, you know, the freedom of speech. A lot of countries, even though we're getting censored a lot in the more recent times, we still have a lot of freedoms here, whereas a lot of countries, they don't, you know. So I think it's so important to stand proud of the freedoms that we have and show that it doesn't make you a bad person to like or own guns or shoot guns. You know, I think, in fact, my gun story is pretty crazy. And I used to actually be one of those people that was kind of like, oh, why do people want guns? Like, I used to think people who had them were paranoid and weird. And so I can understand that mindset, and now I love them. I used to think, like, people that had more than one were strange. You know, I was like, isn't one enough? What's wrong with these weird, obsessed people?
Now you have, what, 20?
And now I'm like, which one am I going to buy next? Yeah, honestly. So I can understand.
No, I think you said it right. I think I saw a recent thing too. I think it was Prince Harry, or one of the English princes that's here was talking about the First Amendment, saying
It's bonkers or something.
yeah, bonkers or whatever it was, and you know, it's kind of like, well, that's what we fought you guys for, and that's why we're here, and that's why we have this, and there was a reason why we left the tyrant countries and came here and started this great country and our Constitution, which still stands and needs to be protected. And then the second thing with that is on the gun thing. I think it's just like anything. If you don't understand it, you're like, ooh, what is that? Why this? Why that? Until you've actually got dug a little bit into that. And that could be anything. It could be music, that could be food, that could be cultures, that could be religion. When you're ignorant to something, it scares you, and you're going to say, why this, why that? So it's good to kind of try to understand stuff. And I think the gun community and understanding guns and the Second Amendment is something that actually used to be taught in elementary schools and Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts. And, you know, back in the, 50s and 60s, probably up until the 70s, kids had shotguns in the back of their trucks going to school.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think parts of Texas, we still have that, you know, which is cool to see. So it's, you know, it's not anything scary. It's, yeah, they're a tool. They have the purpose of them was not to go hunt pheasants and kill pigs. It's for life and death, you know, situations. So, you know, they're a tool that need to be respected and understood a little bit. And I think once you have some understanding with it and some training, I know you do a lot of training. I know you just got back from a course that looked great. So it's cool to see people that are in the gun industry who are actually training. It's one thing to buy cool Gucci gear, Gucci guns, and do cool videos, but to truly respect it and understand it, doing this training, because it's like it probably opened up your eyes a lot too. And every time I do a course, I've been to a few, every time I learn something, and it's, you know, so it's really neat to see that somebody that's in this industry that's respecting it enough to go and spend the time to train and learn more and get better. So, you know, tell me your thoughts on, you know, the training and what you've learned in the past since you've really kind of got into the industry of guns.
I just recently started doing like an actual training scenario. All my lessons, if you want to say, have come from my husband. Like he's the one who basically taught me how to shoot. So I just recently started doing like actual trainings, and I learned so much in them. You know, you just become more proficient with the manipulations of the gun. You just become more, I don't know, I think aware of how everything works, how to mitigate problems, you know, just how to do things in a better way. So I think I highly recommend anybody who can get out and do an actual training course. You will learn so much in that one day. It's just crazy. And that's to say I've been learning for, you know, a couple of years on how to get better, faster, you know, just more efficient. I don't know. I see a huge improvement. And for me to watch my own growth, like when I first started shooting, I had no idea how to hold a gun. I had no idea what the parts were. I mean, if I ran out of ammo, I'd kind of freak out because I was like, oh my God, where does it come out from? Like, how do I eject the magazine? Like, I was just like real fumbly, you know? And so for me to watch videos of myself like efficiently doing things is just amazing because, like I said, I wasn't quite an anti-gunner, but I was pretty close.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, it's neat to see somebody respected enough to say, and I know this goes to anybody who carries a gun or has a gun, because most people, I'd say probably 95% of people who own guns, which there's a lot, they're not training with them. They're in their closet, they're under their bed, they're under their pillow, they're whatever. And not a lot of people get it. They don't have the time to train this, that, and the other. But I think it goes hand in hand. If you're going to own one, you should have some knowledge on how to clear it, how to manipulate the safeties, how to store it, how to keep it clean, and how to keep it in a safe place. If you're, depending if there's children around or however you have your household. So it's part of that responsibility again. I think if you're going to have one, it's just like driving a car here. So here's a car, you have to go and learn how to drive it. You know, you have to take tests. You have to learn the vehicle, and just like anything. So I think it's neat to see people that are getting out, and it's the same. It's a perishable skill. It's just like nursing. It's just like any of those. If you don't keep up with it, then you'll lose it. So it's, constant training. And I think that's also ties into a lot of parallels in life in general with anything. Like, you have to teach every day. Every day is a training day. Every day is a new training day. So every day, if you wake up, you almost have to treat yourself as an athlete, in the sense that you have to constantly train to get better for your mind, your spirit, your mindset, just the way you live is a constant sense of training. Just a musician, he has to play all the time. He has to, if you stop playing, you would start to probably get you would forget chords, right? It's not like riding a bike. So it's one of those things. I think if you treat life like that in general, where you're just, I have to get up and train my mind, body on the gun, whatever it may be. So I don't know. I think it's cool to run those things tight together like that. And so it's cool to see, you really, I've seen your videos. I've done some work with you, to see somebody who's really knows what they're doing. So you're definitely doing that.
I mean, I think even right now with the shortage of ammo, if people want to start training, I mean, even dry fire, I used to think dry fire was so silly. I was like, how are you going to learn anything without actually shooting it? But honestly, it helps so much. I started doing it at home, and I learned so much, even just like the draw, just working on that over and over, because a lot of the times I was doing something like this and it wasn't right. And so it costs you nothing to train at home doing dry fire, just little stuff like that, And I know that for me, I always think, I hope I never have to use that gun ever in my life. But if I do, I know I'm responsible for every bullet that comes out. And I want to make sure that if you have to use it, you're responsible with that, and you know how to use it, and you're not just, firing all over the place, because, like I said, you're responsible for everything that comes out of there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's dry fire. I know, like, I've worked with some Israeli shooters, and some of the best shooters over there dry fire 5,000 times a day. Wow. 5,000 times a day. That's where they get really good. So, not that you need to do it 5,000 times a day, but if you dry fire, once a day or a couple days a week for 5 minutes, like you say, you learn that trigger control, you can learn your draw, you can do your mag changes. So you can do all that without spending money, going to the range. So a lot of people don't have time to go to the range and spend money. Right. You can it's like working out. Oh, I don't have time to go to the gym. I don't have time to get a membership. Dude, do you have a 5x5 space in your living scenario? Do you have an outside area? You can go out there and train and work out. I guarantee you could get thrashed in a 5x5 space of a workout than you could have in a big giant corporate gym with a million machines. So again, excuses, a lot of people make excuses, and that's just how people are. And then there's the ones that are actually make the best of that scenario. So there's a perfect example, dry fire. And anybody could dry fire, do mag changes, learn their trigger, put a little tiny dot on the wall and concentrate on your front sight, your breathing, your hand position, all that stuff. So, and if you don't know how to do that, the internet's, I don't know, a lot of stuff on there I don't know. I'd say go pick up Pat Mac's DVD, T-Max's DVD if you want to learn how to shoot. You want to learn, just like anything, you want to go to the best. Like, I'm sure the course you went to is good. Like, you want to go to the courses that are teaching good stuff, because there's a lot of, I saw one today, it was floating around on Instagram. It was these knuckleheads in, I don't know, I think Florida or something. It said, and they all had shirts on, it said anti-terrorist task force or something. And one dude had a freaking bowl on his head, and then two bowls like this. And the dude was shooting the bowls off his head in his hands. And there's students all there watching. And it's like, you'll see it. It was full. I saw Byron posted, a few other of the gun dudes are out there posting. It was like, so like I was saying, there's a lot of scary stuff out there too that are showing people like this kind of thing. So again, and that's the thing with social media and the internet is anybody can put up a video and put stuff out there. And if they're wrong, if somebody sees it and gets the wrong idea, like, oh, that's sounds fun, let me try that. I mean, it's ridiculous, but people will do what monkey see, monkey do. So it's good to see good, responsible gun ownership who also work in the industry. You have to use guns for your marketing, your promotions, your what you do with the video games. It's part of that imagery. It's part of that whole thing. So, we use it too. We use it in a lot of our stuff. But you can still do that and do it in a responsible way to where it's
absolutely
respected.
And I think it's stuff like that give us gun owners that are responsible a bad name. People see something like that goes viral, and they're like, they assume everybody does that kind of like nonsensory, you know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, pretty sure we don't do that.
yeah. That's like you said, that's the bad name stuff. People see that and they just assume everybody's that way. And as I know, almost everybody I personally know who owns a firearm or is, they're pretty responsible. They treat it very in a respectable manner, and if not, hopefully somebody calls them out. But I think for me, most people I know who care are pretty responsible about it. They're not walking around I don't know, the Lone Ranger or whatever, and flipping their pistols and all that. It's pretty, and people carrying concealed, which I like to. I don't like anybody to know if I'm carrying. I don't want people to know. I want to be okay. I want to be that surprise if something happens. I want to be able to do something without them knowing it's coming. Versus like, oh, if I'm a bad guy and I know that dude's carrying. It's just like being overseas with bad guys. I'm going to go after that dude because he's the only one who can do anything. Take him out, and then I can deal with the rest. So I'm not going to go to Chipotle with an AK-47. And I don't want to be in there with my kids and see a guy walking there with an AK-47 and order a burrito. I don't feel comfortable with that.
Right.
So like you said, most people aren't doing that. But the ones that are doing that are flagging the rest of this community, so.
Well, we're lucky that we live in states that allow us to have concealed carry licenses, because I know all states you can't have it in, like New York, super strict.
New York,
Chicago,
D.C.,
California, it's just, and so again, we're so blessed to have these rights, and that's why I'm so proud, and I think that everybody should, especially women, I know there was a lot of stigma, especially for women that carried guns. And I'll be honest, I never thought I would be somebody that would carry a gun, especially in my daily life. But I don't like leaving the house without it now. In this crazy world that we live in, I mean, I have a child that I have to look out for, and I think, if I'm going down, I'm going down fighting. So.
Absolutely. You want to have, the best chance you could have, and you almost feel, once you get used to it, and it becomes just part of your daily life, then you feel almost naked when you don't have it. Like, I don't.
You do. Like when I travel, I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. This coffee's bomb, by the way.
It's good, right?
Oh, yeah, it's so good.
Yes, I told you, you're the first, actually, besides me, and maybe one other person who's got to try it. So that's our bacon bourbon blend. So we'll be putting that out soon. I just, you'll love it. It's going to be called War Horse. So I'm working on the design for that. It's a big black Frisian horse with some fun stuff behind it, but that's I'm glad you like it. So it's delicious. Coffee. You like coffee. You travel a lot too. I see you do a lot of traveling. You're always on the road, and then that's a kind of another thing. So how do you people talk about a work-life balance and a family life-work balance and stuff like that. And me personally, I don't believe in that because it just doesn't work for me. I try to involve those that are important to me or my family when I can into what I'm doing. If it's business, or like today, I would have loved to have had Nancy. We've done stuff. I'll have her with me, kind of, so she can see how things work, how businesses work, how we engage with people. Like to me, it's neat to be able to involve my business and stuff like that with my kids or the people that are important to me. And you know, sometimes you can't always do that. I know, Dom, you take your daughter to your music events, and you probably had her on stage. I don't know, or you get her involved with the stuff you're doing. You know, and that to me, because you know, to me, that's sharing passionate things, and that person can learn from it. Anyway, how do you, with you're busy between ER nurse, which I know you're busy, 12-hour shifts, your travel for your all these other projects you're working on, like kind of how do you maintain your sanity in a way, and kind of how do you are you a very scheduled person? Are you very anal about making sure, you know, your schedule's on point?
To a point, yeah, because that's the only way I'm going to have time. Like, I will literally schedule in even my gym days. Like, okay, Monday I'm off. I'm going to go to the gym from, say, 7 in the morning till 9. And then after that, I'll grab groceries if I have to grab groceries on the way home. And then I'll shower. And then I, you know, kind of set my agenda for the day, including even fun stuff. Like, if I'm like, okay, because mornings are usually my productive time. So, like, I get up early, I get all my stuff done, and then by the afternoon, I'm like, all right, this is time to, like, hang out with my son. We're going to play Call of Duty for 2 hours or 3 hours, and then I got to figure out.
Sounds like a fun mom.
Yeah, so that's what I do. It's just, like, strategic planning. And even, like, at work, because I get so busy sometimes I don't work out for a couple of weeks. So even at work, if we have no patients, I'll be doing lunges down the hallway or doing push-ups in an empty patient room. You know what I mean? You just got to make the time. You just got to, like, own it while you can, because otherwise time's going to pass anyway. You might as well be doing something productive. And then there's some days that I'm like, you know what? I have had one hell of a week, and I'm going to spend all day in my pajamas, and I'm going to DoorDash my food in, and I'm going to play Call of Duty all day. And I do.
There you go.
So you got to have, so that's how you balance.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's real. Like we were talking yesterday, like, you were flying. I was flying, got to the airport, went over to McDonald's, grabbed something. Like, you know, this is real life stuff. You're a real life person, and most of us that are busy, you know, do what we can when we're on the move. And sometimes you don't have time for certain things, or you don't have time to eat healthy or whatever. But for the most part, if you're doing that, it's okay when there's times that you're just so rushed to say, you know what, I'm freaking hungry. I'm rushing through the airport. I'm just going to grab something. Whatever, you know, it's just real life. Or have a beer, by the way. This is a beer called Sex Appeal from Infamous Brewery. So Infamous Brewery's across the street.
Oh, nice.
They're good friends of ours. We've done a coffee collaboration with them. We did a stout. It was the Mexican chocolate beer stout with them, which was delicious. So
good.
If you're ever in Austin, Texas, go check out Infamous. It's here in Hudson Bend, and they make really good beers. I love their IPAs, but this is pretty good. This is a Hefeweizen, American Hefeweizen, and it's called Sex Appeal. So, hey, you can't go wrong, right? So, thanks for bringing these, Dom. And Dom is here editing and doing our video. He's done a great job for us. He does that. And he's also a musician. He's playing tomorrow at Infamous. So, check out Dom Course. He gave me this hat, by the way, which thank you. Yeah, Dom's awesome. So, and Infamous. So there you go. Cheers to that. Beer and coffee.
Cheers.
All right. There you go.
What a duo, right?
There you go. There you
That's
go.
a win-win.
So, yep, busy. You schedule out things. And then you have your downtime days where you're in your pajamas playing yourself in Call of Duty and crushing a pizza, you know? Like,
Yep.
That's what life should be about sometimes,
Absolutely.
you know?
And you can't beat yourself up for having days where you literally want to do zero. You know, you don't want to see anybody. You don't want to do anything. You want to spend all day in your jammies. And you've got to have days like that. It's like you can't beat yourself up for, you know, ordering McDonald's or, you know, it's life. We're all human, you know? So it's like like I said, you got to do what you can when you can. So I know I told you I was going to tell you my gun story, like what got me into guns, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
I wouldn't tell him earlier. I was like, I'm going to save it.
I want to hear it. Yep.
So, like I said, growing up, never around guns. I was actually thinking gun people were weird and paranoid. And when I met my husband, we were dating at the time, and he grew up shooting, hunting, all that. So he always had guns around, and I was just like, what is with this guy? He's like so paranoid. Like, why does he always have these guns? Like, what is he afraid of? It was so weird, right? So then he would kind of try to tell me how to use it. And the one he had was the HK USP expert, and had, you know, this external safety and whatever. So he was like, okay, make sure the external safety's off. Make sure there's one in the chamber. Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. Like, I was just only half listening. So at the time, we were living in a townhouse, and middle of the night, I was like hearing like somebody trying to get in the house, and I was like, is that someone trying to get in our house, or is that a dream? And as I like started waking up, I could hear the front door like getting like kicked, and somebody was trying to open the doorknob, and I was like, oh my God, somebody's trying to get in the house. So I woke him up, and he's standing at the top of the stairs, just like holding the gun down. And they're still trying to come in, and I'm like, oh my God. So we go down the stairs. He's looking out. No, I'm looking out the porch, and he turns on the porch light, and there's two guys out there, and they both look up at the light turn on, and they're still trying to come in. And we're like, are you kidding me? So he's like standing there with the gun, and all of a sudden the door starts opening. So he hands it back to me so he can hold it, but by then the door is already coming open. So I backed up onto the stairs with the gun, and he was going to hold the door, but it's already open. There's two guys pushing through it, and the first guy comes in and throws a swing at him, and he ducks, and I'm like, oh my God, like what is going on? And I'm sure you've had plenty of things happen to you where all of a sudden it's like slow down, like time just slows down and everything's like spidey sense. And all of a sudden I just see him grab this guy by the shirt and like lift him up in the air, and I was like, what is going on? And I'm trying to like make logic of everything, and everything's like happening so fast but yet in slow motion. So there's this stranger in our house up in the air, lifted, and he threw him into the floor, and like, so I'm like trying to point the gun, and I'm like, it's a dark living room. I have no training because I was always kind of like, oh, whatever. I don't care about these stupid guns. I'm never going to need one or like them or use them. And so I was like, oh my God, what do I do? And there's a second guy. Well, he thankfully got that guy all wrapped up and threw his knee in his chest and got him pinned. So then I'm like, my redirection is to the second guy who's now in the doorway. Never saw me. He's focused on the living room where they're kind of in a little tussle over there. And so I just remembered, turn off the safety, make sure there's one in the chamber. So I clicked it off, and then a bullet popped out onto the stairs. So I was like, okay, I know it's chambered. And I just started telling that guy, like, don't move. I don't even know what I was saying. Apparently profanities, but so.
I'm sure he heard that round hit the ground in the chamber and be like, oh,
and it was
shit.
a 45, so I'm sure he saw
Somebody
that hole looking at him.
else's
Yeah. So he did
Wow.
not move. He froze. Like, I just remember seeing the whites of his eyes just darting to his friend. He froze. He wouldn't move, and I kept telling him, get out of the house. He wouldn't even back up. Like, he was just frozen. So thankfully, we got the situation under control. We got the guys out of the house, and nobody got hurt. Nobody got injured. Nobody got killed, of course. But it just showed me that, you know what, you hope you never have to use that. But God forbid, like, say it jammed, say it ran out of ammo, say, I don't know what, you know what I mean? Like, I would have been a sitting duck with two strangers that broke into my house in my living room, and our son was 6 months old upstairs. So to me, that's why I was like, you know what, you need to learn how to use this thing. You hope you never have to use it, but God forbid. And that's what showed me, like I needed to get serious. And it's something that if you're going to own, you cannot take it lightly and just be willy-nilly like, yeah, okay, whatever, like I kind of was, so.
No, that's a really cool, that's a very informative story on how you got into the guns, and a perfect scenario of when bad things happen, and for training, whatever. You cannot predict usually what's going to happen. Usually scenario is not going to be how you've been thought about it, if you've trained for it. Sometimes you get lucky and you've trained for something a million times and that scenario is pretty close. But usually there's other factors happening. It's dark. There's multiple people. One person's tussled up with somebody else. So you're constantly scanning, trying to figure out how are you going to deal with the situation. And you have a firearm. Luckily, it sounds like you did what you needed to do under the training that you had. So at least you knew the safety, you knew how to chamber around. At least you had that, because like you said, especially a 45, it's not a Glock. You don't just put the round. There's multiple little maneuvers to happen with the safety and the chain. It's slides. Some women can't even pull a slide back. They can't even chamber around. So it's little things like that are truly a reality. So That's a perfect scenario of multiple things happening. First of all, somebody's banging on your door, which you're not expect, and they're kicking it in. That's not normal.
Right.
You would never expect that to happen. And now you got two people. One's engaged with your husband. The other one, you don't know what he's up to. So you're reading the scenario, and luckily it sounds like you had the high ground and kind of assessed it correctly. But I'm sure that's a perfect example to motivate you to say, I need to get better at this. That's a really cool story. I'd never heard that, and I think that that goes to show the point of why you need to train for different scenarios and
Absolutely.
in your house. There you go, especially in your house. A lot of people go to the range and train. You can train from your home. You can train from your bed. How are you going to get out of bed? Where is your weapon when you're getting out of bed?
Right.
Where can you position yourself safely in a position to engage somebody that comes in if you need to? We used to say, first, call 911, put the phone down, and then at least you have somebody to talk to as you're setting yourself up So there's certain things that people aren't thinking about or training for those scenarios. They just like, they freeze, don't know what to do. And then before you know it, it's bad things happen. So, yeah, that's really cool. That's a very, interesting, not interesting, but it's very applicable to what you're doing now and why you train. And then it's opened up all these other things that you're doing, which is, that's gotta be exciting too. So, being an ER nurse, I'm sure you see a lot of things there and deal with a lot of different scenarios from all walks of life. And then you got to switch off and then go play Call of Duty operator the next day. Like,
Yeah, I always say it's like being Spider-Man and Peter Piker, or like, who's the other one? Superman and...
Peter Parker.
Peter Parker.
Spider-Man, yeah.
Or like Batman and
Robin, or,
It's like my alter ego. I'm like nurse by day and like mercenary by night.
Yeah, no, that's cool. See, I think that's like, you live in the life that gives you a break from the stressful stuff, which working especially nowadays in hospitals got to be stressful, and then this gives you a break to have fun, and which we had talked about too. There's still a lot of work involved with that. People are like, oh, just go shoot videos and stand there and look pretty and hold a gun. Like, dude, it's a lot. You're up early, you're up all day, you're in the sun, you're getting to different positions. Yeah. You're working late into night, then you're switching out costumes, you're switching out. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of work involved with that. So,
there is.
People don't realize,
In fact, I was doing a live video earlier and people were asking about like tactical gear. Like, is it hard to wear? Is it hot? And I'm like, absolutely. I mean, at first you're like, yeah, I feel badass. And after
you're
a
like,
few
oh,
hours,
this sucks.
yeah, after a few hours, like it doesn't breathe. It's heavy. And I was saying how one of the Call of Duty shoots I did, I probably had about 35 pounds of gear on between the plates, and I had a shotgun on my back and, the belt. And I mean, just so much gear. And it's like, yeah, I mean, you look like tactical, but I mean, you're dying inside. You're like trying to stand up straight because you're tired and you're hot, and yeah, I mean, it's legit, man.
Yeah, and no, you're right. It's
not all glamorous like everyone thinks. I mean, it looks cool. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But yeah, it's rough.
There's a lot behind making that happen, and yeah, so that's and. But at the same time, you enjoy it and you have fun,
oh, absolutely, yeah.
And so it works out well. So, with that, like, what's kind of your, what are your kind of future plans, future goals with where you kind of, what direction you want to continue what you're doing? Do you want to kind of get more involved with the tactical world, the video gaming, the modeling, acting, whatever other opportunities are coming at you? Like,
absolutely. I mean, nursing, I love doing that, of course, but it's going to be there always, whereas this kind of stuff you can only do it for so long. So with all the opportunities that have coming at me, I definitely want to capitalize and do as much epic stuff as I can. Like I said, one life is so short, and you got to do as many awesome adventures as you can, smile as much as you can, meet as many cool people. I mean, that's how I met you, out on a shoot, like just meet cool people, do fun stuff, and, kind of live it out doing all kinds of different stuff. I have lots of, like I said, different opportunities for ambassador stuff coming up. And I really want to work on my own personal branding, and I really want to get more on Twitch, play with some of my fans and followers that really want to play. So, I mean, that'd be cool. I've always loved playing video games. So the fact that I can be in the game and then play with people, that would be awesome too. So do some more of that.
Yes. I bet that excites them too. And they're like, oh my God, I'm playing with Roze. I'm playing with, and you're actually really playing, and there's a character, and you're engaging with the people that are, because I know that world's very, it's a very it's not aggressive. It's a very dedicated fan base of folks,
Oh yeah.
And very, like you said, they knew about your character before you even did. Like, they're so aware of what's happening in that, and I don't know much about it, but I know it's huge, so it's got to be exciting too. And I know you like you said before, adventure, that's where it's at. Adventure, that's what life's about. So that is an adventure, and really adventure is really everywhere if you so choose to go and make adventure happen for yourself. And that means, like you said, smiling, having a good positive attitude, meeting people, and bringing that energy into something that makes people like you or like to be around you or feel something with you. And you have a great attitude, and you're easy to work with, and you're very nice. You're a very nice person. You're a good person, good, genuine person. I saw that when I got to work with you last time, which made me want to ask you to come out and do this. So like I say, you meet people like for reasons like, oh yeah, that was, I love, like we were talking last night, I love entrepreneurship. I love people of passion. I love people that are not following, they're treading their own, they're making their own trails. They're just kind of going their own direction, making their own trail through life, going through that adventure. And then along that path, things are happening, good and bad. The bad things are going to happen no matter what, but Absolutely. You just, get up and go, and something else will happen. So, continuing to do that, so I see that with you. I see a lot of your passion, and I see you also have a really good work ethic. You work hard, obviously, and then you get on a flight the next day. Because when I asked you to this, it was like even the last minute, and I knew you'd been traveling, you'd been working, and you're like, yeah, okay, let me see if I can move some things around, and then you did, which was like, that's awesome, because a lot of people are like, oh man, it's just a lot more work. I just got back from this trip, but that's what separates people who are making things happen and doing things than the ones who are just like, no, it's easy to say no to things. It's easy. Sometimes you have to say no, but
right.
to take opportunities as they come, and taking those out. If it's an opportunity that's also good for you and it's spiritually good for you and mentally and everything, it's got to have benefit to you as well. It's got to be being able to read those scenarios and and then today we had worked with a bunch of fun people. Like everybody was really cool,
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about doing stuff. Is like your network keeps growing, and you just meet some really awesome people that you even keep in contact with from every state. It's really cool. Like when I travel, I have people in different states that I'm like, oh, so-and-so lives here. Maybe we can grab coffee. Maybe we can grab lunch, because it just, I don't know. I love like networking and being in touch with like-minded people that are driven and inspire me, because I get inspired by so many people like you. I mean, your work ethic is insane, and you understand that life of just being busy all the time. And you understand, like, if I can't text back right away, you understand that. And to collaborate with like-minded people, to me, is just inspiring and gives me that extra fuel. Because, I mean, I'm a perfectionist, so I used to get real defeated by failures or things that didn't pan out the way I wanted, because I would just but, I realized you're going to have those, and you have to learn from them and, like, how you do it better in the future and just keep going. And so that's why yesterday when we were kind of talking about, like, our own little faults or failures and different things, and it was like, okay, what can I take from you that you've learned, and what can I, share with you that I've learned, so that way we can just, like, keep growing in our own brands or whatever you want to call it. It's just in life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. I love that too. I love being around people that are, I don't know everything, that nobody knows everything. And it's like, all right, that person's really good at those things. I'm getting into that. I don't know a lot. I'm going to go and try to learn from them. And I get sometimes to the point where I just like, sometimes I'll shut myself off or shut myself away from things, and I'm just like, no, this is all I'm going to do. And then, like, no, that never works out. You have to work with people. You have to keep your mind, because then you find some inspiration there. You find some energy there. You find some enlightenment there. And that's really what it's about. And, and Dom knows too, a lot of guys that, that deal with different scenarios or situations in life. And Dom works with a lot of groups with PTSD and stuff, and lost friends there and all. And a lot of it is guys that go and kind of get away from those communities or get away from that kind of environment and shut themselves off in a dark room. And then bad things happen. So you have to force yourself really to get out of that and get around people that are doing good things, and every time I do it, sometimes like, oh man, when I'm done, I'm like, dude, I'm so glad I did that. I'm so glad that I went to that thing or met with those folks and talked to them. I always feel a lot better after. So that's the power of what we're supposed to be about anyway, as people. We come from tribes. Tribes were about 100 people within your tribe. And you had a job, you had a position there of importance. So if you cut yourself away from that tribe or whatever, and you're on your own, you're going to die, so.
And that's the thing, is like you said, just finding people that motivate you, inspire you, because everyone has our highs and lows, everybody does. I have my days where I just feel like everything I'm doing is not panning out, and I'm tired and I'm overwhelmed. And, you know, it's like you got to get those people in your life that are like, hey, man, that remind you who you are and kind of pick you up and dust you off and push you back on your path. You know, you got to have those people because we're human. We all have those moments of like highs and lows, you know, and you're exactly right. You got to find those people that kind of put you back on your path and be like, all right, you had your moment. Now let's get back to business, you know? So.
Yeah, and absolutely. It's you know, like you said, everybody, I don't care who you are or how great things are, everybody's is going through something at some point,
100%.
or they do go through something or something happens. And I know that. And I see, like when I see or know folks that I know, and they still get up, they fight, they continue, and again, I think that comes down back, not only with the people that you surround yourself with, but also continually training yourself every day. Okay, that, man, I feel bad. How do I read about how to make myself better in that scenario, or who should I talk to pull me out of this and help pull me out of this? And that's training. You're constantly, it's like taking a supplement, or it's like reading a book, or it's like being around things that are enlightening you. That's training. That's like doing a mag change, or doing a dry fire.
Yep.
Life's the same way, you know.
Yes.
You have to constantly do that. Nobody's like wakes up every day, ooh yeah, this is freaking awesome and whatever. Like,
Right.
you know, every days can be tough, and you have to train yourself to be in a positive enlightenment of that day that comes. And it's okay, like you said, those days that you just say, you know what, I need a break. I'm going to sit my ass, you know, and it's hard because I'm the same way. I'm like, I don't like, if I see people, I'm like, nope, I got to keep my ass moving. I can't, I feel I got to keep moving and I got to keep up with things. I got to, you know, to seize the day and all that. But there's those days it's like, you know what? No, man, I'm going to sit my ass in here and fucking whatever, watch some movies or play a video game or crush a pizza, crush a fucking six pack. Whatever, you know, and
you have to have days like that. Just like a mental health break for yourself to just regroup and regenerate. I feel like it's almost, you know, like you just need that when you're just 1,000 miles an hour every single day. Your brain is just like troubleshooting everything. It's just planning, strategizing. You know what I mean? It's like your brain needs a break aside from just being asleep to just do what makes you happy, like recenter yourself, whether it be drink a beer and play a video game. I mean, you need those moments.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. So it's okay. It's okay to be lazy once in a while, you know.
But only if you're playing the video game as me.
Right. That's a must right there. Because, so right now, if somebody goes on, like because I don't know a lot about it. Like what's the latest games that they would play, and how would they use your character, and like how does all that work?
I'm in the Modern Warfare right now. There's Call of Duty Black Ops and then Call of Duty Modern Warfare. So I'm in Modern Warfare, and then my character is Roze. So you just go to Operator Roze, and then here's me.
They're like, let me find the prettiest one on here that looks the most badass. All right, I want that one. So there you go. If you go on and it's not a download or anything, you just like pick that.
Well, my pack, it's a download.
Oh, it's a pack. Okay.
Yeah.
See,
so mine
I'm
you have
learning.
to download.
I'm learning.
Yeah.
I come back from Atari and Nintendo. All right.
Those were the jam.
Yeah,
though.
Castlevania, Double Dragon, the two brothers that walk down the alley just whipping people's asses. Like,
right.
You know, that's the shit I grew up. So now when I see these games now, I'm like, good Lord, that looks like a real person. That looks like a real life scenario. Like it's really cool.
The graphics are pretty
The
incredible.
graphics are insane, and it's just, I can even think about seeing something like that when I was, you know, a kid and playing Nintendo, like thinking.
Super Mario, like the
I
little
was like,
mushrooms.
wow, that's freaking so insane, to where our minds have developed and evolved so much more that we expect almost reality in something that's not real, you know. And it's happening, man. It's happening. But yeah, it's cool. It's really cool to see that, and then it's cool for you to be able to engage with the people and
Absolutely.
I've seen it. I've seen the videos. She's badass.
Thank you.
Choking people out, freaking.
Doing some epic slaying.
Crushing heads and stuff, you know, double tapping, just like smashing folks. And
It's so surreal to see. It was almost like when I first turned it on and saw myself on there, it was almost like some friend of mine that's good with graphics like made this avatar and somehow like programmed it in there. I just like sat there staring at the screen. I just couldn't believe it. But honestly, my favorite thing so far, aside from like playing as me with my son and just like slaying people as me, is the fan base. Honestly, like I don't know how many people send me messages on Instagram or like really cool clips that they make, and they're like so surprised that I respond. Oh my God, thank you for responding. And I'm like, I'm just a normal human like you are, you know? And I know how excited I was the first time I ever met somebody that was in Call of Duty. I thought it was so cool. And so I'm like, I'm not that cool though, you know? Like I'm just on the game. But I don't know. It's for me, it's so humbling, and I don't know. It just makes me happy that I have that outreach to make people's day, like by posting something. You know, if I could do that, absolutely. You know, I wish that I could have a bigger platform to even reach out to more of them. Like when Comic-Con or something comes back, I'd love to like get all tactical.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
meet my people.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Hang out with like Deadpool and Wolverine and stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, that's what makes it exciting for me, aside from just, like I said, doing my own stuff in my house. Just
it is cool, and I think you stay humble there, and you're like, you know, a lot of people will see stuff or see people, and you have to remember too, a lot of people, not just people, are out doing great things and neat things out there. But if it's somebody that's, you know, maybe they're in college, or maybe they're, you know, working at Lowe's, or I don't know, whatever it may be, which is great, you know, but you kind of can be an escape for them maybe, and they see that and then like, oh, that's that actual person. And for them, and it is neat. It's sometimes you forget like stuff you're doing or have done, or you just, okay, so I'm just like anybody else. I'm doing whatever. And I know people, I know actors, I know musicians, same thing. They're just, most of them are just like, man, I'm just good at this certain thing. But, you know, they're still a person at the end of the day. And if you can maintain that humility there, or humbleness there, and, you know, not make yourself some kind of God or demigod or whatever it may be, because you're now surrounded by people who are just like, oh, you're the best and whatever. Because that happens too. People like, they get surrounded by that, and then they become, they're like, which dude, you're not, bro. That was Jesus. That was the only dude that ever did that. You know, like, no. So people forget. So it's neat. You got to stay. I'm the same way. When I have people come here, you know, I'm in here grinding, working. I'm out there emptying the garbage cans. And then dudes will come in, and I'll, if I can, I'll spend some time with them, talk to them. And to them, I'm like, you probably appreciate them messaging you. Like that's their time, and they're, you know, so if I have the time or can, then of course I'm going to try to
absolutely
respond or say hi. And then there's other times, like we were talking about the other day, where you do, you get busy and you have maybe 1,000 messages, and you're like, dude, I'm working, and I would love to sit here and be able to correspond and respond to everybody. And they're like, man, they never messaged me back. It's like, trust me, I would love to if I could. And it's being able to find that time, or like you said, maybe going to an event where they can just go there and meet you. Or,
yeah,
you know,
absolutely. That'd be cool.
And
sure.
Speaking of that, so can people find you as far as social medias and all that stuff?
I am most active on Instagram, so it's at April Nicole Official. I do have a YouTube. I'm not as good with it, but there's a couple of cool videos. I think they're kind of cool. On my YouTube, it's just April Nicole. I think that's all I have right now.
And then we need to get you a website going.
I know.
We talked about.
Yes, we did. Yeah, I do. I definitely need a website going for sure.
Yes. Yeah. No, you're on the right path. And you've talked about you probably might break off from some of your other duties, so you can start building your brand and your business. And you're an entrepreneur. You got the spirit. You got the entrepreneur spirit, and you got the drive, and you're building yourself a cool brand around it. So I would say run with it. You have to. Yes. So make sure you support April and her endeavors out there. I don't know anything else. Yeah, this has been fun. We had a good day today, and it's nighttime now. Like, we crushed the day, and it's night. It's been a long day, but it's been good. We've had a lot of fun.
Awesome.
And you're leaving tomorrow, so we'll do something tomorrow morning. I want to do that little tactical legging workout deal. So we'll do that tomorrow. But yeah, other than that, I don't know. Yeah, this has been great. So yeah, thank you again for coming out. I had a blast. You guys are going to see a lot more of her. I guarantee it. Go out and support her business, support what she's doing, and play her character on the Call of Duty games, because it's pretty cool. And yeah, thank you for everything that you're doing. You're badass.
Thank you so much, Wes.
Yes, loved having you. Yeah, so
Love being
you're the
here.
best. Let's go crush some more tacos.
Let's go, man. Beer and tacos. Let's do it.
There you go. All right. Right on. Bah. Cool. That was good.